What started as simple online arguments has turned into a web of beefs, investigations, and dirty secrets spilling out into the public. Fans are glued to their screens, and the chaos just keeps growing bigger every day. From Cardi B and Nicki Minaj's nonstop feud to Slim, thugs warning about rappers crashing out, to 50 Cent pulling out federal letters that could change the whole game, this is one of the wildest moments we've seen in rap in years. Slim Thug was the first to set the tone. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He told the world that all these rappers jumping online every day to air out drama and talk reckless were making themselves look weak. In his words, they were crashing out. And when Slim Thug says that, it hits differently. He's been around long enough to know that the streets don't play, and the internet can be deadly when you mix egos, money, and millions of fans watching your every move. His warning was clear. Rappers need to move smarter, because what looks like entertainment online can turn into real-life tragedy. But the drama didn't stop there. As Slim Thug was speaking truth, the Cardi B and Nicki Minaj feud was hitting new levels of messy. For years, fans have watched these two go back and forth, throwing shade, dropping subs, and sometimes going straight for the jugular with nasty words. But recently it's gotten darker. Nicki has been taking shots that feel more personal than ever, dragging Cardi's name, and even questioning her place in hip-hop. Cardi, who has always been quick to clap back, shocked everybody this time. Instead of just fighting fire with fire, she told Nicki straight up, "You need help. You need to heal from your trauma." That one statement shook the internet. Fans couldn't believe it. Some saw it as Cardi trying to rise above the mess, while others thought it was the coldest insult she could have thrown. 50 Cent, of course, couldn't stay silent. If there's one thing 50 loves, it's inserting himself into the biggest drama of the moment. But this time, he came with receipts. He pulled out a letter from the FBI, tied to none other than Diddy, hinting at investigations and possible secrets that the public hasn't even scratched the surface of yet. When 50 Cent waves paperwork around, the internet listens. He's made a career out of exposing people's weak spots, and now he's aiming his fire at one of the most powerful men in the industry. This move had everybody talking, not just about Nicki and Cardi, but about the darker side of hip-hop, feds watching, old beefs resurfacing, and reputations being destroyed in real time. And speaking of old beefs, the streets will never forget the legendary drama between Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy. An ex-FBI agent recently resurfaced details about a deadly chain-snatching attempt from the early 2000s. According to reports, one rapper allegedly sent his crew to rob another, and it ended with a body on the ground. The case was ruled self-defense, but to this day, fans believe this story was about Gucci and Jeezy. That beef changed the culture forever. And now, with the feds dropping more details, it's bringing back dark memories of what happens when music beefs go way too far. When you put all of this together, you can see why Slim Thug's warning was so powerful. He's saying what a lot of fans are thinking. These rappers are letting the internet push them to the edge. What starts as Instagram lives, tweets, and subs can spiral into something deadly, and history has already shown us how bad it can get. And now, with 50 Cent digging up FBI letters, Cardi and Nicki going at each other's throats, and old beefs being brought back to the light, hip-hop feels like it's sitting on a ticking time bomb. Let's take a step back and really look at the Nicki Minaj and Cardi B feud, because this isn't just two women throwing shade at each other. It's turned into one of the longest and most toxic rivalries hip-hop has ever seen. It started years ago when Cardi blew up with Bodak Yellow and instantly became a superstar. Nicki, who had been dominating the rap game for nearly a decade, didn't exactly roll out the welcome mat. From subtle shade in interviews to social media subliminals, the tension started building slowly. But things truly boiled over during that infamous New York Fashion Week event in 2018. That's when Cardi confronted Nicki, allegedly over comments Nicki had made about Cardi's daughter. The night ended with Cardi being escorted out, one shoe off, while Nicki sat back acting unbothered. That moment set the tone for everything that followed. Since then, every year has had some new chapter in the Cardi versus Nicki saga. Diss tracks, interviews, Twitter spats, fan wars, you name it, they've done it. But the recent twist shocked everyone. Cardi's decision to tell Nicki she needed help, that she needed to heal from her trauma, was a different kind of clapback. Some fans think Cardi is tired of the back and forth and wants to move on, while others believe this was the harshest insult of them all. Because let's be real, telling someone to heal in the middle of a feud is basically saying, "You're broken, and I'm above you." That one comment sent shockwaves through the fan bases, with Barty Gang and the Barbs going to war online like never before. And while that's happening, 50 Cent is standing on the sidelines with popcorn in one hand and paperwork in the other. When he pulled out that FBI letter connected to Diddy, it wasn't just about Diddy. It was about sending a message to the entire industry. 50 has always been about exposing secrets, from Ja Rule to Rick Ross to anyone he sees as fake or shady. But this time it feels bigger. This is federal paperwork, something that ties into years of whispers about Diddy's empire, his connections, and his enemies. Fans couldn't believe it when 50 shared it. Some said he was going too far. Others praised him for being fearless. But everybody agreed on one thing. When 50 Cent puts something out there, it's going to dominate the conversation. But here's where things get really wild. That ex-FBI agent story about the chain-snatching beef in Atlanta reminded everyone of just how deadly these feuds can get. Back in the day, Gucci Mane was targeted in a robbery attempt that left one man dead. Gucci was later cleared on the grounds of self-defense, but the beef between him and Young Jeezy became one of the bloodiest rivalries in hip-hop history. Diss tracks, threats, and years of hatred defined their relationship. And even though they shocked the world by sharing a stage in their Versus battle in 2020, the scars from that feud never really healed. The fact that federal agents are still talking about that situation today shows just how deeply law enforcement has been watching hip-hop, waiting for every move. This all ties back to Slim Thug's message. He's been around long enough to see how these patterns repeat themselves. Rappers let ego, pride, and social media push them to do things they'll regret. What feels like clout chasing online can easily turn into another name in a court case or another life lost to the streets. And that's exactly what Slim Thug was warning against. This idea that rappers are becoming crash dummies for entertainment, not realizing the real consequences until it's too late. Meanwhile, fans are torn. Some say this is just part of hip-hop, that beefs and drama have always been there. From Tupac and Biggie to Jay-Z and Nas, battles and rivalries have shaped the culture. But others believe it's gone too far in the age of social media. Back then, beefs were about the music, the bars, the competition. Now it's live streams, Instagram posts, and federal agents pulling receipts. And when you add in people like 50 Cent fanning the flames, Cardi and Nicki dragging each other, and the feds watching every move, it's hard not to feel like the whole culture is standing on dangerous ground. Now, let's really talk about 50 Cent and Diddy, because this is more than just another beef. This is power versus power. On one side, you've got Diddy, one of the most successful moguls hip-hop has ever produced, with businesses, labels, and influence that stretches all across entertainment. On the other side, you've got 50 Cent, another mogul who built an empire through music, television, and fearless moves in the industry. But while Diddy has always played the polished executive role, 50 Cent has always been the one who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty and call people out publicly. And when 50 starts pointing fingers, the world listens. So when 50 Cent pulled out that FBI letter, fans instantly knew things were about to get messy. The letter itself hinted at serious investigations, suggesting that Diddy wasn't just under a spotlight from fans and gossip blogs, but that federal authorities had been keeping tabs on him for years. And here's the thing, hip-hop history shows us that when the feds start watching, they don't just watch quietly. They build cases, they wait, they let things pile up until they're ready to make their move. And 50 Cent, knowing that, used this letter as a way to remind the industry that nothing stays hidden forever. People immediately started connecting dots. They thought about the wild stories that have always floated around Diddy. Allegations, rumors, whispers about the way he runs his world. And while none of it has ever been officially confirmed, the fact that the FBI has a file on him adds fuel to the fire. 50 knows exactly what he's doing. He's not just stirring the pot, he's shaking the entire table. He's letting everyone know that even the most powerful figures in hip-hop aren't untouchable. But here's where things connect back to the Cardi B and Nicki Minaj drama. When you think about it, the same energy that fuels personal beefs is the same energy that puts the whole culture at risk. But here's where things connect back to the Cardi B and Nicki Minaj drama. When you think about it, the same energy that fuels personal beefs is the same energy that puts the whole culture at risk. Cardi and Nicki's feud might seem like it's just about words, insults, and fan bases, but the truth is, these kinds of fights open the door for bigger problems. Industry insiders know that when beef gets too personal, it's not just the artists involved. It's crews, entourages, and sometimes even law enforcement stepping in. And that's what Slim Thug was warning about. That's why 50's move matters. And that's why fans are starting to question if hip-hop is headed down a dangerous road all over again. We've seen this play out before. Tupac and Biggie's rivalry wasn't just about music. It turned into something bigger, something deadly. Federal agents were watching then too. They saw how money, pride, and competition created chaos in the culture, and they've never stopped keeping an eye on the industry since. That's why these letters matter. That's why Slim Thug's comments hit home, and that's why fans are nervous about how ugly things could get between Nicki and Cardi. Nicki, for her part, isn't backing down. She's been throwing shade at Cardi for years, but lately it feels like she's on a mission to destroy her rival's credibility. From sneak dissing her success to making direct comments about her personality, Nicki has been keeping the fire burning. Cardi, on the other hand, has started to show that she's not interested in playing the same game anymore. Telling Nicki to heal wasn't just a clapback, it was a statement. Cardi's saying she's above the drama, even as she stays right in the middle of it, and that's what makes this feud so fascinating. It's not just about two rappers. It's about image, legacy, and who controls the future of women in hip-hop. Meanwhile, 50 Cent keeps dropping little bombs from the sidelines, reminding everyone that he's the master of exposing the truth. And when you mix his energy with Slim Thug's warnings and the FBI's letters, it paints a picture of a culture under serious pressure. Fans are asking themselves, is this just entertainment, or is hip-hop on the edge of another storm? To really understand why this moment feels so intense, you have to look back at hip-hop's history with beefs. This culture was built on competition, battles, disses, and proving who's the best. But too often, that competition has turned deadly. The most tragic example will always be Tupac and Biggie. What started as a rap rivalry spiraled into something bigger than music. Pride, money, and the streets mixed together until both men were gone, leaving a scar on hip-hop that will never fully heal. And if you pay attention, the same patterns keep showing up decades later. The names change, the platforms change, but the story feels the same. Jay-Z and Nas had their battle in the early 2000s, and while it never got violent, it showed the world how far artists will go to protect their legacies. Drake and Meek Mill turned Twitter and memes into weapons in their feud, changing the way beefs played out in the social media era. Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy took things to the streets, and that story ended with a man dead and years of hatred before they finally stood on a stage together for Verzoos. Each one of these rivalries shaped hip-hop, but they all carry the same warning. When egos, pride, and millions of fans get involved, things can spiral fast. Now we're seeing that same energy in 2025, but the stakes feel higher than ever. Social media means nothing ever dies down. Every insult is recorded, every live stream is reposted, and every rumor spreads like wildfire. When Nicki Minaj and Cardi B trade shots, it's not just two women arguing. It's millions of Barbs and Barty gang soldiers fueling the fire online, pushing the drama into overdrive. When 50 Cent waves FBI paperwork, it's not just about one mogul. It's about the idea that the whole industry is under surveillance. And when Slim Thug warns rappers about crashing out, he's speaking to a generation that's grown up watching their idols risk everything for likes, clout, and quick attention. Fans are asking the big question, is this just entertainment, or is it destruction dressed up as entertainment? Some say beef is part of hip-hop's DNA, that it pushes artists to be sharper, hungrier, and more creative. Others argue that the lines have blurred too much. The internet doesn't just document beef anymore. It inflates it, weaponizes it, and drags in the law. And when you mix feds, egos, and fan armies, you get something far more dangerous than rap battles in the park. The scary part is that the artists themselves don't always realize how much is at stake. For Nicki and Cardi, it might feel like just another round in their ongoing war. For 50, it might feel like another power move against an old rival. But history tells us these things rarely stay just music. They spiral. They pull in outsiders, and before long, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets locked up, or somebody loses everything. That's why Slim Thug's warning is hitting so hard right now. He's not just talking about Instagram lives or Twitter fingers. He's talking about life and death, about freedom in prison, about learning from the mistakes of the past before it's too late. He's telling the culture, don't crash out. And if you look around at everything happening, from the Cardi versus Nicki mess, to 50 and Diddy's Cold War, to the ghosts of Gucci versus Jeezy, you realize he's right. The hip-hop world is standing at a crossroads. Will this new generation learn from the past and keep their beefs on wax, or will history repeat itself once again? That's the question fans can't stop asking, and the answer will shape the future of the culture forever. At the end of the day, this isn't just about Nicki, Minaj and Cardi B. It's not just about 50 Cent and Diddy, and it's not even just about Slim Thug warning rappers to stop crashing out. This is about the entire culture of hip-hop standing on the edge of something we've seen before, something dangerous, something deadly, and something that could change everything. Fans are watching history repeat itself in real time. The egos are bigger, the fan bases are louder, and the internet makes every move 10 times more explosive. And the truth is, nobody knows where this is going to end. Will Nicki and Cardi ever bury the hatchet? Or are we heading toward another all-out war? Will 50 Cent's FBI receipts drag Diddy into the kind of spotlight that no amount of money can control? And will Slim Thug's words finally wake people up before the next tragedy happens? One thing is clear, hip-hop is at a breaking point. The drama, the secrets, and the betrayals are spilling out faster than anyone can control. And if the past has taught us anything, it's that when the stakes get this high, somebody always pays the price. So now I'll leave it to y'all. Do you think this is just entertainment? Or is hip-hop heading straight into another dark chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this story is far from over, and the next chapter could be even wilder than the last.